Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome again to another exciting Ask a Maker Educator. I'm super excited to be here this week. It is the week of making, the National Week of Making. It's a super exciting time for maker education, and it's a super exciting time for us here at Maker Ed. We have lots of great stuff going on and lots of great things that are going to be coming out and shared with all of you soon. So keep your eyes peeled on all of our social media. One particularly exciting thing is we're here today with our third installation and unfortunately our final installation in our collaboration with Digital Promise around Ask a Maker Educator. We are highlighting educators who have signed the Maker Promise, a collaboration between Maker Ed that calls on schools and school districts and communities around the country to sign on to our Maker Promise and say that they will dedicate three things: a space for making, a champion to support that making, and a showcase for the making that the students in their learning environment are doing. So we've been working over the last year with Digital Promise to put out tons of great resources and support educators who sign on. And over the last few weeks, we've been highlighting some of that awesome work here on Ask a Maker Educator. Digital Promise has shared some great maker learning videos, and this week we have the third of those videos. It features two wonderful, wonderful, amazing educators from Boston, Massachusetts, from the English High School. We are going to be chatting with them about some of their awesome work in robotics and media literacy and making some really amazing, beautiful transformations in their school. I'm super excited to have Roma Liani and Xavier Rosas with us here today from Boston, Massachusetts. And before we come into our conversation with them, we do want to go ahead and once again share that video. So we'll play the video that highlights a little bit of the work they're doing and give you a chance to learn a little more about what's happening over on the East Coast. So stay tuned and let's get that video rolling.
A new approach to learning will make kids appreciate school a lot more.
Ready? If the kids honestly feel that they're taking part in something special and unique and meaningful, they'll go to the end of the world for you and their classmates.
I usually don't like to work in a group, but robotics has encouraged me.
Teaching and learning is best when there are authentic opportunities for kids that improves community in their school.
When students walk into our high school, they often come from middle schools. And I think it's a hard idea to ever picture themselves competing at a collegiate level with kids who have already had the opportunity to work with engineering, work with math and science. And then they come to English high school and we tell them, no, you're not going to do this in college. You're going to do this here, you're going to do it now, and you're going to be good at it.
I wasn't prepared for programming, but eventually I have to help my team. So one day I just took a step and learned how to program, and eventually we can teach everyone.
What I enjoy most is watching the roller coaster of emotion students go through. They see the problem, and their eyes get wide, like, how am I going to do this? Suddenly it's, okay, let's try to figure this out. Work through I have to talk, I have to tear it apart, I have to work with other people. And suddenly they hear this, it all clicks. And that's my favorite part. I watch it click. I watch the confidence soar.
I think it's better to have physical contact with what you do. Eventually, you're going to mess it up or you're going to do something wrong, but that's nothing bad because at the end we're going to fix it.
I'm not thinking of it as work. I'm thinking of it as like, oh, this is fun. I'm learning, but I don't even notice.
One of the biggest parts of being a teacher is building students' confidence. And it is a hard task to do in the classroom. But through these activities, you can see the little wins they have, whether it be something small, like a student being able to build a bumper for the robot, being able to learn how to use a sewing machine, or even being able to figure out the size of the chain that goes around a wheel. That's a small victory. And that's a victory that they can then bring into the classroom with them. We're always kind of concerned and scared about letting chaos happen. Just keep the kids in their seat, doing work, make sure everyone is on task, not going crazy. But really, what's that doing for the student? Truly, what's the student getting out of that? Just because you see what you interpret as chaos in a classroom, that might actually be the beginning stages of discovery.
All right. That last line gets me every time. Xavier, it looks like you might be muted right now. I want to go ahead and turn yourself off.
That is probably a good thing. I got some craziness going on in the background, folks.
There we go. Yeah,
it's real out here. The struggle is real.
An extra special guest pop in for a second there.
Yeah.
Thank you both so much for that awesome video. I was just saying that last line really gets me every time. It's a good one. Roma and Xavier, it's really wonderful to have you. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves? Tell us a little about your work, where you're coming from, your roles in your school, anything else you want us to know.
You want me to kick it off?
Go ahead.
All right. Age before beauty. Hi, guys. I'm Xavier Rosas, the instructional technology coordinator at the English High School, the historic English High School, first public high school in America. And I am also the lead teacher of the Design and Visual Communications Technical Pathway Program, VOC-TECH program. I've been teaching in English for 15 years, started off as an elective teacher, teaching kids how to work free programs like iMovie and things like that, and then built a career out of it and have been enjoying it and kicking butt.
And I'm Roma Liani. I am a math teacher at the English High School and one of the lead teachers of the math department. I come from actually a non-teaching background. I've been teaching for 3 years. I come from an engineering background, and I entered teaching in a non-traditional way. And so that's something I try to bring into the classroom with me all the time is my engineering work and making math more of this real process instead of this conceptual idea and this abstract idea of something you never really apply.
Definitely. Roma, where were you coming from beforehand? What were you doing before you started teaching?
So I came out of school, but I had done other internships with civil work and mechanical work and a completely different life. Never even once thought that I was going to be a teacher.
So what made you make that choice then, coming right out of school and deciding to shift pretty drastically, it sounds like?
I think at some point I got tired of the numbers. The numbers weren't enough, right? Like it's just like every single day I was doing what seemed like the same thing, and I wasn't really sure why. I'm a big believer that there is really no point in knowledge unless you share it. And so I decided to take the shift. Maybe there's something more I could do with the knowledge set that I had.
That's great. It's a really exciting thing to hear that you saw that so quickly and were so immediately inspired to shift towards teaching of all things. That's really great. So tell us a little about the school that you're coming from. We've heard so far that it's one of or the oldest public high school in the country, which is super cool. Tell us a little more about it and how it's changed over the last few years. I know that from what I've read in the last 7 to 10 years, the school's really undergone some pretty major transformations. And so where are you starting from and where are you moving towards?
I think X, you can take it off for the starting part.
Yep, for sure. So English High School was deemed chronically underperforming, I'd say, about 10 years ago, and a new level of receivership was developed at the Commonwealth Pilot School. Basically, Massachusetts took us over for a year, and the state realized that they really, they're great, Commonwealth, but they don't know how to run schools. Like running a school was a difficult thing. It's a very local operation. And the oversight from DESE, the state, the Department of Education, wasn't acute enough to really address the needs of the community and the school. Mm-hmm. So we were assigned a headmaster. A number of changes were made that really they cut back on some key programs that were holding the school together, the arts and the electives. That's the first thing that took the hit. And I've come to understand why a leader would make that decision, but knowing what I know now, it was a bad decision. We got a change of leadership, and the direction changed. And Lihia Noriega Murphy, the current headmaster, brought in and supported a number of teachers that had vision and had goals and initiatives already in place, and really just supported them. People that were doing these things anyways, but without the resources. Mm-hmm. So long story short, we moved from a hyper macro state level oversight to a let's see what these young people can do. Let's see what not even young. Let's see what these talented people can do that have been in the trenches and actually know what's going down. And that investment has really just sent shockwaves through the entire culture of and organizational structure. Young people, Roma, as we have said, is new. She's got incredible. She's got a voice. That's not the way it used to be. It used to be you fell in line, you did what you were told, and you followed direction, right. And that's how you kept your job. And now there's a different sort of perspective and a different hope for how we're going to make this thing happen. And people are, I think, guarded but open to throwing it in our court, saying, "See, show me what you can do."
Yeah.
You'll be accountable for what's going to happen, but show me what you can do. And we've been blowing their socks off ever since. So that's a very simplified version of the politics of Boston and Boston public schools. I honestly think a little bit of a stamp for, like, a little bit of a roadmap for how people should start to think about issue, which is the local being actually the national as far as the educational priorities are concerned. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. What do you think, Roma?
Thank you. Roma, do you want to add to that a little bit?
I think exactly what Rose is talking about is that we started from, I wasn't there for this part, but we started with this the stories I've heard, micromanage way of teaching, and we weren't getting results. We had kids who were upset, kids who were not behaving. We weren't getting anything from them, and we weren't giving them really anything to write home about. But then we started releasing control, and I came in at that point, and I think that's what really started creating change, that we told the teachers, hey, you're doing something cool here, you're doing something good, I'm seeing results, keep going, let's see what happens. Yeah. It's having faith in the staff and realizing teaching doesn't always look like this traditional, like I was saying in the video, you think of teaching as just sitting down and doing work in silence, but that's really was not getting results, and it definitely wasn't, because we went into turnaround.
Yeah.
And now that we have more of the student-centered conversations and these students and a student-centered mindset in everything that we do, and that's all because of the staff and because Ms. Noriega told us, go for it, let's see what happens.
That's great, and it's really amazing to hear that in all of that transition, you ended up with someone who was able to really support that for all of the educators that are working with working in that environment. So what did that actually start to look like? What did those transitions look like? And then how did making kind of start weaving its way in? It sounds like, I certainly can hear a lot of natural inroads for those hands-on making type experiences. But I'm wondering if there were any particular ways or first steps for all of you to start bringing in those making and hands-on experiences.
So I think first steps were laying foundation. We still, at least in like my math classroom and science classrooms, we need to lay foundation, and there has to be a strong foundation, which we don't usually have because our students just come from huge deficits that they're trying to overcome. And whether it be with their math skills, even with their literacy skills, even their communication skills. And so it's laying those foundations, getting them strong, but not always doing it in this standard way. Instead of doing, okay, so we're talking about shapes, and what do we really know about shapes? Well, let's open up Tinkercad and let's really explore and let's spin it around and see what a shape's really created of. But making sure those foundations are there, so then we can have these launch points like the robotics team. And we can really let students blossom.
I think Roma, I think you nailed it there, that it's almost like cultivating a garden. You have to go through these processes. You can't just jump out. If anybody got a super hyper grant for like $5 million. Let's see what you, I think that would, I mean, it would overwhelm and I think like derail what is needed here, which is like this grassroots. You need Romas. You need people that, you need young people. I want to say, I hate to go back to the young, but you need people that are ready and willing to just go above and beyond and recognize that the job, yeah, there's nothing in the contract that states X, Y, and Z about this. But I recognize that that is actually what is needed. And that's a seismic change, you know?
Yeah. What are some of the examples of those things? Like those things that you feel like the things that a young educator or that an educator in general might need to bring in that maybe isn't so immediately obvious that is really necessary to supporting this kind of work?
I would speak to the if I'm reaching anybody right now, and I would be speaking to leadership, and that would be bold and take that chance. Try to cultivate that young person. Try to cultivate that person that has a vision, and you know, and that may not that's probably not out there for the glamour and the, you know, and the podcast. Anyways, they're just there. Why are you there? Because you actually care. Cool. Let's see what we can work with. That is the fuel. That is, you know, that's what's going to actually drive any program, be it something, you know, like a standardized test initiative or an after school exercise initiative. You got to have somebody that's willing to just say, I'm not worried about what time it is. I'm doing this for the right reasons. And I know why I'm doing it. And that's why I got into this business. And I'm fortunate to work with like a bunch of those people.
Yeah.
Amazing staff.
Yeah. But I can honestly say also, I stumbled into this career as a substitute teacher that literally was like, hey, you know, can you cover for a history teacher? Oh, I know, here's some video editing. Let's go. You just have to cultivate as well. It's very rarely you're gonna.
Right. It's
taking chances. That's it. Like,
and that's it, because it's terrifying to be like, well, what if I lose control? Well, what if they don't understand what I just did? Well, that's still a learning opportunity, not only for them but for yourself as well. Okay, so that didn't work at all. And there's plenty of days I'm like, that did not work. We are never doing that again. But now I know, and now I can refine, and I can really just release your inhibitions of what you think teaching should be, and be willing to take a chance with your classroom.
Roma, I'm like 100%. You obviously know I'm on the same page. I think for a lot of people a lot of schools that don't have that level of support that we have and enjoy, it's scary to do something, you know, particularly when you're in a high stakes environment where the headmaster couldn't walk in at any moment. And if you're trying something new and it's like, oh, they're trying something new and it's not going well, the printer broke and the laser's smoking and like
every day.
It's like, you gotta be willing. Like that's like your livelihood on the line there. And I think I will honestly say that I think that is one of the biggest like detriments to young people that are trying to think about getting into this career and really exploding and taking it in the way that it should go, is this sense that I'm not sure how this is going to work, but it's a high stakes environment now. Holy crap. Roma, you're right in the middle of it. You're a math teacher of the MCAS. They are bearing down on these people like nothing else. But yet, all right, let's do some Tinkercad. You know, like you have to have a leader that's going to say, I trust you that you're going to be able to get X, Y, and Z so they don't shut our school down or we lose money. But yet, it's getting results, even though it might not appear on the metrics that the state is measuring. So I honestly think that's where the courage really comes from. You know, it's this meeting of a willing and capable and talented young teacher and a leadership that has the vision, they're ready to back that up.
That's great. Super well said. And I would imagine, and maybe Roma, you can talk to this a little more, that you're in there, it's hard and challenging and inspiring and all these different things. But then it starts to reinforce itself as you actually start seeing students engage and you start seeing changes and you see the way that these projects really impact your learners. And I'd love if you could talk a little bit about that and the kinds of changes you've seen and why for these learners in this environment in particular, these types of experiences and this type of attitude from the teachers has been so valuable.
And that's a great question, because truly, like, when they walk through our door, 9th grade, I've seen their scores. Very rarely do I have a student who's excelled in math. So these activities are slowly but surely breaking down everything that they think math is. And every single time, because a worksheet's not going to do it for them. A worksheet, they've done it before and they've got an F on it.
Yeah.
So why should they do it again? They've already been broken down by this traditional learning system. So these activities, and at first it's scary. It takes a lot. The first activity never goes well, and the first project never goes well because they are terrified. They've never seen learning like this.
Yeah.
But then comes a second. They're a little bit more willing, and then the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and suddenly math is not what it always used to be. There is entry points for every learner. Someone can be good at something. And for kids who have never felt good at math before, that is huge. And that's ginormous. That kid now trusts you and is willing to do the next activity you ask them to do. And because truly half the time they own the battles themselves, that they've never been good at this. And they've been told, maybe explicitly and implicitly, that they have not been good at this. So we need to destroy that. And it can't just be in the traditional manner, because the traditional manner is what has failed them so many times and created this for them. And I was very lucky that I got to loop with my one of my honors class. I started last year. I taught my freshman honors, and now I teach geometry. I did it the year before as well, and I see such huge growth with them because they are now like, okay, I know how this Leone works. And the second year is really when I see the growth that, okay, they're willing to do every activity I ask them to do, and they're willing to start testing their own boundaries of what they think math is and what they think learning is.
That's great. I really love in the video you use the phrase "a roller coaster of emotions." It sounds like it's a nice phrase in that I feel like you see not just a sort of success and failure cycle, but this cycle that really does kind of up and down and left and right and all over these different places, which I think is a really wonderful thing to see, I'm sure.
And it's a life skill, right? That's how it is to work. And as soon as we start building this, like, you're not going to get the right answer every single time. And really, what are we creating for them? How are they operate in the real world, in their job, if that's how we say that learning and working is? And really, I'm sure we experience it every single day. You, me, Roses, this roller coaster of emotions at work, and we have to prepare them for that. Yeah. And a worksheet just isn't doing it.
Awesome. We have time for probably one more question. I would love to hear a little bit about, when I watched the video, I noticed there's certainly a big focus on your amazing robotics program. It seems like you've got a really super robust developed program, and I'd love to hear a little bit about it. But I'd also love to hear about how other projects and processes and types of making have been integrated. I noticed there were sewing machines in the video. What else are y'all working on, and how are you ranging from the super cool techie robotics to maybe other ends of the making spectrum?
So what's great about that video and the kids you were seeing in there is that they're actually not all part of a robotics pathway.
Oh, okay.
So we have a pathway, like X was talking about, that students can take many different pathways out of school. And one of them is robotics. So you'd assume all those kids would be in it.
Yeah.
Like the student in the beginning, Nabby, who was talking, he's actually in the design pathway. So he came from a completely different point of view, which we realized was so incredibly valuable, that when we had just the robotics team, when we had just the robotics pathway, we actually weren't doing anything that crazy. We weren't doing anything that unique. Right. We were doing the same thing that's been done over and over again. But bringing together all these pathways, all these different ways of looking at a problem, is when we really started changing our robotics program and our robotics team.
Do classes work together directly? Do you weave the pathways sort of strategically throughout the year?
So they don't work together directly. They do sort of bring all the skills they're learning in their classes as part of after-school program. So what happens in robotics is it's first robotics. We launch it. We have about a month to build this whole entire robot and compete with it. So but we're after school there for hours and hours and hours doing this. So everything they're bringing from their classroom and from these pathways, from in their math and science, and even their media, like even writing, because some of them are on our social media team.
Yeah.
They are bringing that with them and the after school program and working together. And we have other schools who come in, and it's amazing to watch them because they never talk to each other. They would never talk to each other, or suddenly sitting next to each other trying to design, a socket, or trying to figure out, or debating as the best way to actually do this. Kids would never even speak at all during the day.
I would say, like,
they can do that.
For like the first couple of weeks, there was a large part of it was this like social, organizational, like flux going on. We were just there trying to make sure that the kids could just even work together. They came from totally different mindsets, and but yet there was a common cause and a common good, and again, I think the unifying element here was an adult that cared about them. I hate to say, but that's the magic. When we talk about scaling these things up, there has to be an adult that just cares. I don't know much about robotics. I was a film major. An undergrad.
He had these crazy ideas the whole time. He wanted these.
I was talking about like, yes, vacuums that will lift the robots up, and they prompt the kids felt comfortable saying like, Roses, like this is not your strong point, bro. Sit back. And I'm like, okay. But when push came to shove, and we needed somebody to advocate for, why are these supplies not coming in? We ordered these. We did this the right way. We got these purchase orders. Where to go? Yeah. And consequently, the same thing with the students. Like, this is how life works. This is how society works. You put your best foot forward, and you put your one foot in front of the other, and then you hope that your best foot is forward. But you also recognize that there are some people that just are comfortable doing these things, and you just hope that they're on your team. And if they're not on your team, you invite them to be on your team. Even if that kid doesn't look like you never spoke to him.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be an active, member and competitor in something that has, and you've got this sense of urgency about it, it doesn't matter. It just draws adolescents together. And I think that's it. Like that sense of urgency, a cause. And FIRST Robotics definitely was a catalyst there. But there were also a number, in that video, the art club, a number of all of these kids are also involved. Most of them are involved in the art club, and that is where you're really pushing thinking, and you're thinking about perception and society, and not really so much like the material. All right, we got a problem with tornadoes, and we need to fix a house. Just thinking about society, liberal arts sort of mindset, but yet at the end of the day, bring it back home. What can we do right now? All of these kids wear English high school gear, our school gear, and are involved in everything we do. They feel as if they're real members of the community, and they are. And it's other kids look at them and see, why is that kid different? What's going on? And
I think what you're saying is like,
and it's just
that being a member of the community, and also trusting an adult, right? Like how you're saying, building this relationship with these students. Like did I have to kind of convince a lot of these kids the first time to show up? Yes, but it's because they trusted me. They trusted that I wouldn't have done this. I wouldn't have asked them to do this unless I thought it was something that was really beneficial for them. And it's really cultivating those relationships first and foremost. And as soon as you have that, as X said in the video, they'll do anything you ask them to do, and they'll take risks that they never thought they could do. Right. And then
and I'm going to build up that the only way, Roma, a lot of these initiatives, they're always, how can we scale this successful model up? Mm-hmm. And I can say, like, the way to scale this model up is really to let your people take chances. Like, bring in the people that you want, hold them accountable, but let them take chances. And when things don't look just quite right, lead from behind, support. Let them try, and then if something's not working, then that's a different conversation. But we've been through, English high school has been through the ringer, and I can say that the student-centered approach, student-centered doesn't really fully encapsulate what we're talking about. where it's student empowered, student centered, is what will it's transformative. Transformative. They feel it, the teachers feel it, it becomes an actual community of learners. And you know, we always talk about that in the hypothetical. And like I've seen it happen.
That's great. And with that, unfortunately, we are out of time. What a wonderful way to close out, though. Thank you both so much for sharing your experiences and talking so honestly about all of these, you know, amazing transformations that your school has gone through. It sounds like, you know, some really amazing change has taken place, and it's really great to hear the way that making has been a part of it and been so inspiring both for you all and for your students. If you, Roma and Xavier, have resources that you would like to share, let us know. We will make sure to tweet them out. If you have any last little bits of, you're an educator out there, check this out right now. If you want to share one thing. If you have something on.
Danny, can I say something?
Yeah.
Roma, I'm gonna put this through Danny, but this is a challenge to you, Roma. You're going to the charter school environment. I want to see you. I want to see what you can do. This is the gauntlet has been tossed.
Thanks, X.
Let's impress the world.
Awesome.
You can do it.
The challenge has been made.
Yeah, we all can.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. We're going to close it out for today. I just want to let you all know that as part of the week of making and in collaboration again with Maker Promise, Digital Promise has a couple exciting things that they've released in August. If you are a member or a signer, I should say, of the Maker Promise, you're going to have special access to an upcoming course that Digital Promise is running. It's going to be on Edmodo's Spotlight platform. It's going to be a great intro to Maker Learning or a refresher or just a great way to engage with Maker Learning if that's something that sounds exciting to you. It is featuring a few very cool micro-credentials that Maker Ed actually put together. So if this is sounding exciting, we will share out a link to that and make sure that you sign the promise and you'll have special access to that. Maker Promise has also just shared our annual report. It's been a year. It's been an amazing year. And if you'd like to learn more about all the cool things that have happened, including schools like the English High School signing on, you can check that out. And again, we'll share the link. And again, Roman and Xavier, thank you so much. Thank you all for watching Ask a Maker Educator. And we'll be taking a couple weeks off to regroup, start a new season, but we'll be coming back with some really exciting stuff soon. So keep your eye on Twitter and social media to learn about when our next episode will be. Have a great afternoon. Bye, everyone.
Take care. Good night.